Welcome back to the Monday Steep. The Monday Steep exists to give you the extract from our Rise and Form journey so that we can provide you with the well-steeped tea, the thoughtful and honest real talk inspired by our own Rise and Form journey, and the best moments from the amazing discussions we've had with our guests on the regular show. So let's get into it. Hey everyone, Monday morning, September 30, and it's the Monday Steep. I am currently in Perth, Western Australia. I'm about a stone's throw from the Indian Ocean. And Aundrea is hanging around back in Portland, Oregon. And I'm going to dive into do something a little bit different today. And I'm not going to do any reflection on the guest, is what we usually do on the Monday Steep, is talk for a little bit about our key takeaways from the podcast the week before. So I thought it would be a good idea to talk a little bit about mood. And this is sort of included in what the Rise mindset is, and then also understanding what do we do? How do we form ourselves so that we can understand mood too? So I'll do a couple of things today. We'll talk about what mood is, so we really can understand how to even check in with our own mood and know the difference between mood and feelings, and the difference between mood, feelings, thoughts as well. And then I'll share a little bit on how mood can influence our state, and how state can then be our thoughts and our feelings about ourselves and others, and then really impact our behaviors throughout the day. And then cover some of the key thought distortions we have, so we can understand what happens when we're having when we're having a certain mood, how our thoughts can be really impacted by that, and that can cause us to have certain thought distortions or thought biases that we're not even aware of, and they can be a big part of our everyday lives. One of the reasons I thought it'd be a good idea to talk about mood is because most of the time we don't understand how mood works. So waking up on a Monday morning, heading out, getting kids to school, or yourself to school, or yourself to work, or whatever you have to do, we feel a bit of anxiety about the week. Sometimes, it's the Sunday scaries. We've got an email to respond to. We've got a bunch of tasks to work on. It could be that we had a bad morning. It could be that we slept poorly the night before. It could be that we didn't eat anything. It could be that we had an argument with someone. It could be many things that affect our mood. And just to give you some examples of the types of mood we can be in. We can be in a calm mood, isn't that nice? We can be in a gloomy mood. We can be in an angry mood. We can be in a light-hearted mood. We can be in an anxious mood. We can be in a cheerful mood. All sorts of different moods we can have, isn't there? Now, what we know about mood from the research is mood is very affected by our environment. And mood's affected by what we are eating, whether we slept that night, whether we had caffeine. Sometimes caffeine can put us in an anxious mood, right? Mood's affected by the weather. If it's gloomy outside, that's probably pretty true that you're going to feel gloomy inside. Like it's a bit like the season you're in. And feelings are kind of like the weather that day. And so mood's sort of like your overarching kind of the state of being you're having. And feelings are kind of like what come and go momentarily. We can feel anything. There's nothing that cannot be felt. So when our mood drops, or when we're having some kind of tension inside, or worry, or anxiety, or depression, or gloominess, or something like that, we might start to have some real feelings of being helpless or down. We might feel worried. We might start feeling really sad. And so when we're having that state, our minds are working really hard. Our brains are working really hard, our thoughts, to try to understand it. And I often call that filling in the gaps. Our brains are thinking machines. They're going to think and think and think. The brain starts trying to make sense of what's going on. Now our thought biases are going to come in. And this is where we start having thought distortions. These are really just when we lose our ability to think about something very rationally and objectively. We all have this. This happens to all of us all the time. And that's why it's so important to slow down, take a breath, and reflect on what's going on in my mind, what's going on in my feelings, what's going on in my mood. I remember waking up a few Mondays ago. I wasn't feeling good. It took me a while to sort of get out of bed and get going. And I started wondering what's going on with me, because I usually am pretty bouncy in the morning. And I started noticing my biases coming in. So let me give you a couple of examples of typical thought biases. I'm not going to spend too much time on this because we'll talk about this on the flagship course, and also I'll put up some things on Patreon about this. But some of these things are like emotional reasoning is a thought biases. It's I feel it, therefore it must be true. How's this for parents? We feel guilty all the time. And so we allow that to become our way of being. We could really start believing we're a bad parent. I feel guilty all the time because I'm a bad parent. Another one's overgeneralization, taking one thing, one event, and using it to really generalize it. Isn't this a common one that you've seen around the place? Which could be something like, I didn't pass that test, or I messed up today and got in trouble with my boss. I'm a bad worker. I'm always doing this. I have a terrible future ahead of me. I'm just not like anyone else. Somehow I'm doomed. Another one's mind reading. It's when we make assumptions about what other people are thinking and feeling, rather than thinking about that more reflectively and openly. So, when someone doesn't text you back, and I don't know, everyone has a different threshold for what's appropriate here. Sometimes they think, oh, they haven't texted me back for an hour. That's pretty normal. But if someone hasn't texted you back for, a day or so, you might start thinking, this person hates me, or what's going on here? Like, I thought we were friends, and of course, if we just really think about that for a moment, they could be somewhere where they don't have service. They could be going through something in their own lives and need a break. It could have nothing to do with you whatsoever, right? So I'll tell you one more, all or nothing thinking. That's thinking in absolutes or extremes. And so what happens, that's how the day goes. Nothing changes. We feel down, we feel defeated, we feel sad. Then we have physical sensations, don't we? We start to feel heavy. We start to have different changes in our appetite. We start to have low energy. And then we have behavioral changes. We withdraw. We don't take on the task. We procrastinate. We get unfocused. So I hope what I've done is just really shown you a case for why mood is so important to understand. It's important to pay attention to it. So I'd ask you even now, as you're in your car or as you're waking up and listening to this, or wherever you're going, whatever you're doing, just ask yourself, what is my overall mood today? What sort of mood am I in? Do I feel anxious? Do I feel fearful? Do I feel agitated? And I invite you to take a breath as you do that. So now that you've listened to your body, you've got a bit of a sense of what mood you're in. With just the awareness of that, you're able to observe something that you don't usually observe. And that gives you the power to make some adjustment to it. Along with that, what I would say is just the power of one opposing idea, one contrary thought, one even a gentle challenge. This isn't about going hard on your own mind. This is about being really gentle with yourself, and even inviting the Holy Spirit just to come and minister to you, just to be with you. If you are stressed out about the week or about all the things you've got to do or the bills you've got to pay or whatever it is, I would just encourage you to slow down for a moment. Give yourself 1 minute just to check in with yourself. Take a breath. And let's move now to a form piece, which is really looking at what can I practice instead of just allowing my mood to run my life and allowing those thought distortions to take over. What do I want to ground and root myself in again today? This is what it says in the Bible. In Isaiah 46 verse 4, it says, I am he who will sustain you. Even to your old age, I am he who will sustain you. I made you. I will rescue you. God thoughtfully crafted you. Every single thing that makes you who you were was chosen by him and knitted together. He knows what you need even before you need it. So in some ways, what we can do today, as a way of really putting our trust and putting our cares and our worries and our feelings and our mood, we can say, God, we give it to you today. Be with us. Help me today. If you're going through a really hard time in your life, again, lean in towards him and just remember, he will sustain you. He's with you. Another one from Isaiah chapter 40, verse 31. Those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not be faint. So today I'm not going to put my hope in myself or my own achievements or my own grit or tenacity. I'm going to put my hope in you, God, because then I'll soar on the wings of eagles and put my hope in you and put my trust in you. I give this day to you. All right, let's finish up there. I hope this was helpful to you. If you have any questions, please reach out. Connect at riseandform.com or join us on Patreon. You'll be able to chat to us there about this. All right, take care.
Thanks for tuning in to the Monday Steep. If you're liking what you're hearing, please share it with your friends and follow us on our podcast app and on Instagram. We'd love to hear from you, so drop us some thoughts on the website, riseandform.com.